In modern football, loyalty, it feels like a forgotten currency. Players move, clubs spend, and allegiances, well, they seem to shift with the wind. But this is the story of an exception. A man who didn't just play for a city, he was the city. This is the story of Francesco Totti.
And that quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures what he was all about. To really get Totti, you have to look past the goals and the trophies. You have to understand his bond with a place, with a people, and with an ideal. And his story, like all the great Roman tales, it begins right there, in the heart of the city itself.
So let's go back. September 27th, 1976. Francesco Totti is born into a world where football is way more than just a sport. In Rome, it's basically a language, a culture, it's a way of life. And from his earliest days, the ball was always with him. They say he even slept with one by his side.
And the crazy thing is, even as a kid, his path was just so clear. His talent was undeniable. This incredible technique and a vision for the game that was just pure instinct. So naturally, the giants of Italian football came knocking. AC Milan, even Roma's biggest rivals, Lazio. They all wanted this young prodigy. But for Totti, there was no choice to make. There was only one shirt he was ever going to wear.
His focus was just laser sharp. In 1989, he joins the Roma Youth Academy, taking that first official step on his path. And just 4 years later, at the super young age of 16, that dream becomes a reality. He steps onto the pitch for his professional debut, and right there, in that moment, a Roman star was born.
Okay, so making your debut is one thing, but becoming the soul of the team? That's something else entirely. As Totti grew, so did his influence. The fans, they saw something different in him. He wasn't just some higher talent. He was one of them, living the dream that they all shared. He played with a kind of passion and pride that could only come from a true Roman.
And then, at just 22 years old, he was handed the captain's armband. I mean, just think about that responsibility. In a city as passionate and, let's be honest, demanding as Rome, the captain carries the weight of its history and all of its hopes on his shoulders. It was a role he seemed born to play and one he would absolutely define for the next 2 decades.
Look, every great player's career is measured by those moments of triumph. For Totti, leading his beloved club and his nation to the very top would cement his place among the absolute legends of the game.
In Italy, the big one, the ultimate prize, is the Scudetto. Winning it is a complete obsession. And for Roma, a club that had only won it twice in its entire history, it was the stuff of impossible dreams. But in the 2000-2001 season, the impossible started to feel very, very real.
And Totti, well, he was the undisputed leader of that team. He was its creative engine, the artist pulling all the strings. With every goal, every assist, he dragged his city closer and closer to glory. And when they finally lifted that trophy, it was so much more than a championship. It was the fulfillment of a childhood promise. The boy from the streets of Rome was now the king of Italy.
But his story doesn't just end in Rome. Oh no. In 2006, just months after a brutal leg injury that nearly shattered his dreams, Totti went to the World Cup in Germany. People were doubting his fitness, but he answered all of them on the pitch, providing crucial assists and scoring this nerve-wracking last-second penalty to win a knockout game. He helped lead Italy to the absolute pinnacle of the sport. He became a World Cup champion.
So you've got the Scudetto, you've got the World Cup. I mean, those are incredible achievements. But you could argue that the real defining part of Totti's story isn't about a trophy he won, but about the many more he chose to turn down.
He was basically standing at this massive crossroads, facing a really clear choice. In one direction, Real Madrid, maybe the biggest club on the planet. They offered everything a modern player is taught to want: more money, more fame, and a near guarantee of trophies. And in the other direction, Roma, just home.
And what did he do? He said no. Time and time again, he said no. He chose to be a king in his own city rather than just another prince in a foreign court. And in that one decision, in that absolute unwavering loyalty, he went from being a great player to an immortal symbol.
Now, as the years rolled by, Totti's game had to evolve a bit. That explosive pace started to fade, but his football brain, his vision, and that technique, they were as sharp as ever. He could still change a game with a single touch, a single pass. But even for emperors, time is undefeated.
May 28, 2017. If you're a Roma fan, that date is burned into your memory. It was the day Francesco Totti played his final match.
The atmosphere in Rome's Stadio Olimpico, it wasn't just electric, it was heavy with the emotion of a quarter-century of shared history all coming to an end.
I mean, you had grown men just openly weeping in the stands. Teammates, rivals, everyone lined up to pay their respects. After the final whistle, he walked the pitch one last time with his family, and he gave this raw, heartfelt speech that just laid bare what the club, what the city meant to him. It was a farewell so powerful, it went way beyond sport itself.
So, when it was all said and done, when the final whistle blew on his career, what was he leaving behind? The numbers, they're just staggering, but they really only tell part of the story.
786 appearances, 307 goals,
25 seasons.
and then the one that matters most, one club.
And that right there, that was his unique legacy. Totti's ultimate victory wasn't a trophy. It was proving that you could achieve greatness on your own terms, in your own home. He showed the world that deep roots are worth more than a cabinet full of medals you won somewhere else. He didn't just play for Roma. In a way, Roma lived through him.
Which, of course, leaves us with this one big question. In a football world that's all about global brands and constant movement, is a one-club legend like Francesco Totti an endangered species? Or is he a timeless ideal we can still hope for? His story suggests that maybe, just maybe, some things are worth more than all the money and fame in the world.